Here, that comes from the highway.
Charles, are we gonna be able to understand this one tonight?
All right, let's go.
We need to come and give me a
Please stand for a
call.
moment of silence and salute the flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting was provided to the Westfield Leader, advertised on January 9, 2014. Notification was sent to the Star Ledger and prominently posted on the municipal public bulletin board and filed in the office of the municipal clerk, informing the public of the time and place according to the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Law, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975. Again, at this time, I'd like to just remind you to turn off your cell phones and other communication devices and put them on vibrate. And if you must take a call, we'd appreciate it if you took it out in the hall. Roll call, please, Ms. Ariano.
Dave Petrocchi.
Here.
Council President Palmer. Here. Councilman Martin.
Present.
Councilman Matthew.
Here.
Councilman Niersted.
Present.
Councilman Petrozelli.
Here.
And Councilman Fisco. Here.
Okay, if I might have a motion to suspend the regular order of business to hold a public hearing on the 2014 municipal budget as advertised in the Westfield Leader on April 3rd, 2014.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Ariano, was any correspondence received concerning the 2014 municipal budget?
Yes, Mayor, we received correspondence from resident Bruce Patterson with questions that were answered and distributed to Mayor and Council.
Is there anyone present who wishes to be heard concerning the 2014 municipal budget?
I'll let anybody else first.
All yours.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Bruce Patterson, 325 Willow Avenue. I'm glad everybody's happy, I guess. No, I'm happy. I am. But, and thank you very much, Sandra, and Warren, right? Bill. And the financial committee, which I do thank, and that they did work hard. And Sandra for answering the questions on the financial health of Garwood, which actually everything looks good, looks rosy. Not perfect, but you know, I appreciate it, bringing down the taxes to 1%. It was good, but I'd just like to make a suggestion. I don't know if you actually can readjust it maybe further. Is that possible to adjust numbers after the public input?
Yes.
If it's valid? Oh, it is, okay. Okay, I'd like to make a suggestion. 1% is nice, I'm happy. But I'm looking at this handout here, and on the back page, this is actually for me anyway, it's an important page, and I see state aid analysis. It's basically flat. And the surprising thing, and I've looked at it in our budget also, but the total surplus actually jumped up, the anticipated surplus in the budget, jumped up from something like 450 up to close to 800,000, it's like 763 as I recall. But anyway, looking at the surplus, and this is my suggestion possibly, I mean, we're saying that the tax increase has been the lowest in 12 years, which is great. You know, and I've been through the budgets for the past 15 years, and many also have been here. And yes, and that is true. Back then, there was some selling the flow rights and everything to achieve a 0% tax increase. You're down to 1%. So I just want to make a suggestion that if you're anticipating over last year another $250,000 in surplus, if you want to make history, is it possible to use some of that anticipated surplus to offset the $39 tax increase and maybe make it minus $5 to be historic. I mean, you're saying 1% in 12 years. If you go down to minus $5 for the municipal now, I think you'd be making history on this one, and it looks like it's possible. Garwood's financially sound. It looks like maybe you can actually tweak that surplus downward. So I'm just making that suggestion, whether you take it or not, it's something else. And I think that'd be a good idea. It'd be historic. I think the Board of Ed and Ann, I think you were you actually had like a $6 tax decrease. So I mean, that was amazing back then. Okay. I mean, if you can maybe match it or come out with minus $1, I mean, that's, we're looking at a challenge. This is a challenge, and this is a suggestion. But thank you very much for the numbers. They do paint a nice movie picture of Garwood, and I appreciate all the hard work that each of you did. Thank you very much.
Mayor, if you'd like, I can address
Yeah,
that.
can you-
Well, first of all, thank you for your comments. In regards to the surplus, I have to say, quite honestly, saying the words like historic, I love that, I teach social studies, but, and who wouldn't want to be historic? We all certainly would as a finance committee. Yes, we're proud of our achievement, we would love it to be 0 or even a decrease, absolutely. However, we took the surplus as far down as we felt comfortable with this year. This is the first year in quite a few that we've actually seen an increase in surplus, and here it is, part of the reason why the taxes are really getting offset. And so the surplus, we're not cutting it back so far as to put the town in a bad position as well in terms of debt, and I'm sure Bill could speak more to this. When you go out for a bond sale, we don't wanna have a surplus of 0 or a surplus of 100,000,
Right.
certainly not. But more so than that as well, I think that it would be really great if this could also slightly benefit future uses. It would be very nice if surplus could be used in part for sort of leveling out the tax increase to lessen that impact, so that all the increases in the 1 year don't totally hit you and where you feel it, and there's no relief in that year. I don't know if it's practical to have taxes go up $150 1 year and then only up 30 the next and then up 150. Surplus, if used properly, could be one of those leveling features. So, however, we did use a lot. We feel comfortable with where we left it at. And we certainly would love to be historic in that sense, but we really wanted to keep some security there for the borough as well. So we were looking at the future as well, not just mindful of our 1 year as the three of us together as a finance team, what we tried to have a little bit of a broader perspective too, but appreciate your comments.
If I could just give an alternate point of view on that, Mayor. I think that that's a fabulous idea, and I would actually make a motion to reduce the surplus by $57,000, whatever the total tax increase is for this year, and net out of 0. I think if I could get a second, I would definitely do it. We could have a vote on it. We wouldn't be bringing the surplus down. We'd have the surplus at a really nice level, especially generally I'm against high surpluses. What I think is a surplus that's too high becomes a slush fund and becomes a cover for other inefficiencies in the budget. If I'm going to vote for a high surplus 1 year, the year we go and do a once-a-decade bond offering is the year I'd probably do it. But I would definitely be inclined to reduce the surplus by $57,000 and net this year out at 0. And if there's someone who would second that motion, I would make that motion.
If I may as well, Sandy, could you provide some information comparing this year's surplus level in our decision with past years? I know we discussed that at finance meetings, specifically with Warren, as well as to, are we bringing it down so much we're bringing it down, but yet it's still so much higher than where surplus was last year. It's not really the picture, so.
Right.
Speak to
The
that, doesn't it?
guidelines for surplus, general guidelines are that you shouldn't anticipate more surplus than you think you can regenerate in any given year. And considering that
Sandy, could you speak into the microphone? People have a hard time hearing you.
guidelines state that you shouldn't anticipate more surplus than you expect to be able to generate in that year. So that was a consideration when we looked at how much surplus to use in this budget. And in addition, we are planning to offer bonds in the fall, and the rating agencies definitely look at that factor when they give you the bond rating and bid on interest rates.
Sandy, you alluded to a standard. Is there a standard in terms of where municipalities should be with its surplus relative to its total budget? So then what does the bonding agency look at?
It looks that you're maintaining surplus, and it sometimes looks to see that you are actually raising taxes. That's actually almost a good sign. It's showing that you're not just using one-time revenues to have a one-time decrease.
Yeah, and just so you know, it's a very political issue. Bonding agencies will become, rating agencies will become very political, as you saw in the US and France and other countries lost their AAA rating. Also at the municipal and state level, they become downright political. And they'll go ahead and you'll do a tax cut, they'll cut your rating. You do a tax increase, they'll increase it. So I think that, to the first part of your question, Bill, well, when I was finance chair, we did look for that standard. There is no such standard as to what the surplus is. And oftentimes rating agencies are in attention with the taxpayer, which doesn't mean you should ignore them. Okay, they make the ratings. Okay. Shouldn't ignore them, but I don't think that that's the be all and end all. And you know, read the Wall Street Journal. They've been on this for about 2 decades. Rating agencies get downright political, particularly with municipal bonds. So my offer stands. I would make the motion to reduce surplus by $57,493. Zero out this year's tax increase if I can get a second.
So if there is no standard, I think the figure that was put out before, you can get it exact. What is our surplus? 763, is that what I heard?
Yeah, we ended the year with 734,000 roughly in surplus, and we're anticipating 468,000 of that. So that only leaves us about 226. Is that right? Which,
I did not understand the chart. If you tell me 226, I don't understand the chart. The chart shows over 700,000.
well, that's what we ended with, but out of that, you're anticipating 468,000 in this year's budget. If you don't regenerate that, you know, that, you'll be left with whatever we said.
Only $266,000.
Yeah.
All right, I'm sorry. Can you delve into that a little more?
Yeah, so at the end of the year, you had surplus of a little over $700,000. You're
End of
using,
2013.
yes, and you're
Okay.
using 466 in this year.
Okay.
468, so that surplus is automatically down to $266,000.
That's all we have right
Yeah,
now.
So then this 700,000 is really, you're telling me at the end of 2014, it's gonna be 263.
If you don't.
If you don't generate any,
Right.
surplus back.
Right.
So for instance,
And if we were to not generate anything back, we were to take the suggestion and eliminate 57,000 out of it, what do you think that would do in terms of bonding agencies looking at what we anticipate doing in the fall?
yeah, I mean, I can't speak for the bonding agency. I don't know whether a zero makes any difference as opposed to an average increase of $38. That I really can't speak to.
Well, no, the question was the amount that's in the surplus.
With 57,000?
Well, what Councilman is advocating, you know, a lot is, take $57,000 out of surplus and you have a 0% increase. You have a zero, that's what he's stating.
And quite honestly, we did ask that exact question at the finance meetings, and Warren was very cautious about that. We actually started using even less surplus, and we kind of worked these numbers and kind of sort of scored more and more as we went up with how much we wanted to use. So, and I think it might be beneficial for the residents as well if you both could explain how we do use surplus throughout the year to actually pay our bills.
And for a cash flow purpose, you know, you guys don't start collecting your tax until February 1st. You guys have to run the borough starting January 1. So if you don't have cash on hand, you'd have to actually go out and borrow, you know, with the tax anticipation notes. So having surplus on hand, you can pay your bills when the taxes start coming in.
And specifically, we collect all the taxes, so the school wants their piece, the county wants their piece, they don't want it short. In fact, if it is short, we were discussing it today, the county would hit us with a
Interest
penalty,
Yeah,
so.
you have money over immediately, you can't delay.
And as far as, if I can interject this, I mean, I think Bruce's idea is wonderful about historic, zero tax increase in 1 year, but I think you'd lose the impact of that since our budget is comprised of the three sections we spoke about before, the county, the school board, and our piece, the municipal operations piece. So a resident would not see a zero tax bill because of the other two components.
Depending on what your budgets are, obviously, yeah.
Yeah, so the impact would be, I'm not saying it would be lost, but it would be certainly dissipated in that tax bill the resident sees.
And also, just to make it clear, if I get a second and the resolution passes, I plan to vote no on tonight's budget. I will switch my vote to yes, and I will vote for this year's budget if we reduce the surplus by $57,000. You have my vote, and I commit to that on the record.
So what you're saying is that with that surplus money, basically, that's the cash on hand. And if we reduce by $57,000, we're taking a chance of not having money in our checkbook, basically, to pay our bills.
Yeah, depending on your cash flow goes. I mean, you may get taxes in early, you may not.
Yeah, and all your state aid doesn't start, we don't receive that until August. So the first 7 months of the year, we're relying on cash on hand to pay bills at like Broadway Valley and pension bills. They're due in April. And again, the school and the county taxes have to be paid on time. If you don't have any cash available, you have to go out and borrow the money. And if you're paying interest on that money to run your borough.
Let me just say something with this. I mean, it came out of our committee, the way that we are presenting it. It sounds like a great thing, to be boastful about a 0% tax increase. However, I would never run the risk of running the borough so lean that you wouldn't have money to pay your bills. And I don't think anybody in their house would be saying that. So I just say that you leave it the way that it is, and not that you're paying this $57,000 decrease of surplus.
Agreed.
I would agree as well.
Jim used a very important word before that we know sits above all these discussions, and that word was political. And I trust we all recognize the political ramifications of what was voted on tonight. I can read it in the paper already, and I can read it on every pamphlet that gets distributed between now and November. And I'm sure you can too. But it's a political decision. Find it to be a very interesting one. Are we willing to accept that?
I would not put politics ahead of running this town lean where you can't pay your bills.
I don't see that as a political decision. I see these two people right here being our professionals trying to pay our bills and telling us that if we do what's being suggested, you're running the risk of not having money to pay your bills before your taxes come in. I don't see that political.
And you don't see that,
Okay.
it's pretty blatant.
The bottom line is, we have to worry about Garwood. We
Understood.
can't worry about re-elections up here. Personally, one resident asked me to promise less than 2%. And I said, no, I will not promise that, because I don't want to make a promise that I can't keep. Ended up, I kept it, if I would have made it, but I won't, because to me that's being political and going down the politician route. To me, it's not about that. It's really about making sound decisions for Garwood, listening to our professionals, making our own decisions, challenging the professionals sometimes to get feedback back and forth. We've had many meetings, many phone conversations, so that we've racked each other's brains quite a bit to get to the point we're at here. The finance committee, it sounds like, it's very, we stand behind our budget, it's solid, and, we'll see what the vote is.
I just wanted to say, I think Councilman Euston and Council President Palmer are both right in the sense of, both had elements that are right. These are political decisions because we're politicians, we're elected, we're members of parties, we're a political body. The professionals are doing exactly what they should do, but however, they give us their advice to whether or not to accept it or to what extent to accept it is completely within our purview. That is a political decision. Some you can characterize as prudent, some you could say is not prudent. I'm not really interested in making history tonight. Going backwards, the last time we had no tax increase was 97, 98. Great, we can say we're the first council since 97, 98. That and $2 gets you on the bus, okay? But I'm interested in lowering the tax hit. Just so you know, on my way over here, when I came home, my wife said we got an $875 bill to true up our escrow on our rental home that we own on Pine. My wife said, I know we get it every year. She said it would be real nice if we just didn't get it one year, okay, just to bring it down to a level. Along the lines of what Councilman Martin said, if we went ahead and did a zero, my wife still would get that bill next year, but it would be $575 maybe, instead of $875. Okay? So just to bring it down to the level, the zero for me is not necessarily a political thing to put in your cap or to use against somebody. It means real things in real people's lives. Okay, it means things to people's rent, it means things to people's mortgage payments, it means things to what people have to pay, it means things to people trying to sell their homes and buy and move into Garwood. So it is a political decision. I completely agree with Councilman Neerstead on that, but not about what you put on a flyer. It's about our neighbors, okay, and how much they have to pay. And it would be great one year if at least 1/3 of their government said, hey, this year we're going to take a break.
All right, so what is the point with that? Just hang on 1 second. So then, like, if you don't pay your bill, then we have to go borrow money? So where do you think borrowing money comes from? Who pays that interest on borrowing money? It's not physically sound to do this. Sure. That's it. It's not about what you just promoted.
And the 66% debt increase for the athletic field that you voted for, Councilman?
That's not
that
the
is
subject
prudent.
at hand.
No, it's
We've
debt.
all discussed
It's
this
debt.
and I think we know
So
where
one
we all
debt is
stand.
not
I think
prudent.
we can put-
Sorry.
We are actually, and I kind of let you go a little bit to get your discussion out of the way, we're actually in the public hearing portion of the meeting on the budget. Is there anyone else, members of the public, who would like to make a comment with regard to the budget?
This is Dombrowski, Center Street, Garwood. All this is wonderful, $5 million, $6 million, $7 million. Who's paying for it? All the people here. Don't you think we are struggling? We are gonna have to borrow money, or we have to do something to cut back to pay for this? You have to remember, this is a town that's less than a mile square, has only a little over 1,500 taxpayers. 1,500 taxpayers paying $5 million, $6 million, $7 million. I'm scared for this town. I don't really know how much longer this town is going to be able to exist the way it's going. Property taxes are killing the people of the state, and hundreds of thousands of people are moving out of here. Why? You ask yourself, why? I know we're all trying, but I don't know how long this town can exist anymore. It's to the point where there's not enough people to pay for all these wonderful things that you want. So just keep that in mind. Well over 1,500 taxpayers to pay 7, 6, 7, 8 million, whatever it may be. Where are we going to get it from? Ask that question.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Alex Kroll, 668 Merrill Avenue. This actually is an opportunity to make some history, because if Garwood would come in at a 0% tax increase, it's not a lot of money out of each taxpayer's pockets. I, for one, can afford it. A lot of my neighbors can't. But it gives us the opportunity to say Garwood had no tax increase. I moved to this town because of the taxes. I'm close to thinking about moving out of this town because it's not competitive to be here anymore. Take the opportunity for $37 a person and say, we're kicking tail and we're not gonna have a tax increase, and make it historical. Because it is, I understand the process about the budget, but we don't know if we're gonna need money. We don't know if we're gonna need to take a loan. We do know that we can reduce it by $57,000, and we can make history. So it's really an opportunity for this council to see something that's important, and I hope you make the right decision. Thank you.
Can I make another comment?
Are there any further comments? Questions about the budget? No? Yes, you may.
I'll keep it. Bruce Patterson again. And you said about that resident that wanted you to promise the 2%. That was me. I guess I opened up a can of worms. I mean, I wanted you to promise 2%. You said that was going to be impossible. You gave me 1%. I mean, obviously, you know me by now. I'm never satisfied. I'm going to have to just apologize for the opportunity that, I saw 2%, and I see 1%, and I want 0%. Am I ever satisfied? I guess not. But one thing that is true, and I've been going to enough governing body meetings, is that they really should listen to their professionals, because that's why they're here. Not only the planning board, and the county, and the council, and the board of ed. But I mean, not to change the subject. I mean, it's great, and the people make sense, but the professionals also make sense. So I mean, that's why you guys are elected officials, is to make the hard decisions. And we'll hear whatever the hard decision is. And I just want to point one more thing out. I was looking again at this, that 2013 tax levy. Yeah, it's nice, the little pie chart. So I added it all up. It comes out about $16 million. Okay. Now $16 million. Roughly there's say 4,000 residents. So 16 times 10 to the 6th divided by 4 times 10 to the 3rd. Leaves about 4 times 10 to the 3rd. I don't know if you know exponentials or not, but what that boils down to is this tax levy is actually $4,000 for every man, woman, and child in Garwood. I just wanted to point that out. Thank you.
Can you give me a number on the county when it comes out for a person?
I'll be asking Thursday.
Thank you.
Right, Sarah is right about that. They should have that.
Any other comments before I close the public hearing? No. May I have a motion to close the public hearing on the 2014 municipal budget?
So moved.
A second? Second. Thank you. May I have a motion to adopt resolution number 14-187, 2014 municipal budget?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please, Ms. Ariano.
Council President Palmer.
Aye.
Councilman Martin.
Aye.
Councilman Matthew.
No.
Councilman Mearstead.
Yes.
Councilman Petrozelli.
Aye.
And Councilman Tedisco.
Aye.
You ready? Okay, minutes, please, Ms. Ariano.
Regular meeting of Mayor and Council held on April 8, 2014. Executive session of Mayor and Council held on April 8, 2014. Workshop session of Mayor and Council held on April 8, 2014.
Are there any corrections or changes? May I have a motion to accept the minutes as presented?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as presented, Mayor.
May I have a second?
Second.
Communications, please, Ms. Ariano.
New Jersey State League of Municipalities Mayor's Fax Advisories.
Received and filed.
Union County Board of Chosen Freeholders. Passing of the county budget.
Received and filed. Okay, this evening we have a public hearing on ordinance number 14-06 as advertised in the Westfield Leader on April 10th. Please, Ms. Arahammer, can you please read the ordinance 14-06 by title only?
Yes, Mayor. An ordinance to provide for a revised rate schedule for 2014 pursuant to 134-16 rate schedule on Article 5 industrial waste and fees in Chapter 134 sewers of the Code of the Borough of Garwood for the industrial user charge provided in 134-15.
Have you received any correspondence concerning ordinance 14-06?
None, Mayor.
Does anyone present wish to be heard concerning ordinance 14-06?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Bruce Patterson, June 25, Willow Avenue. A couple of questions hopefully the committee can answer. One is always the same question. What was it before to what is it now? I see 3049. What is it previously? Also, how many entities is this assessed to? I see it's industrial users. Does that mean not the commercial? And Also, why are we increasing it? I believe the June bill went down, right?
I'll give you the best answer, I'll give you the best answers that I can on that, although unfortunately, I forgot to bring that file with me, but, it was increased the same percentage that our Railway Valley, assessment was increased with respect to, sewer usage. And no, the Railway Valley bill went up, it didn't go down. So, that's the reason. It was an increase of exactly the same percentage that our assessment was increased.
Bob, I do have the backup on that.
Oh, you do? Oh, thanks. Fresh memory. And also, what was the last question, Ms. Chris?
Well, okay, I mean, you answered why. It was like the number of entities that are affected and is there commercial?
Yeah, that one is not in here, and I can't tell you the number of entities, but there's a threshold that hasn't changed. In other words, if you use more than X amount of gallons of, essentially of water, which translates to sewage per year, you get a bill. It's generally, I would say, I don't think any resident, homeowner pays that bill. I don't believe anybody reaches that threshold. If you have a laundromat, for example, you're gonna get a big bill. If you have a supermarket, you're gonna get not as big a bill, but a big bill. If you have an apartment building, you're probably gonna get a bill for that based on the sewer usage of the apartment building.
What is the dollar figure previously?
Let's see. Oh, good. Went from $2,781 per million gallons of flow to 3049.
Okay. Thank you very much.
And is there anyone else present that wishes to be heard regarding the ordinance 14-06? There seeing no one, may I have a motion to close the public hearing on ordinance 14-06?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. May I have a motion to adopt ordinance 14-06?
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance number 14-06, Mayor.
May I have a second?
So,
Roll call, please, Ms. Mariano.
Council President Palmer? Aye. Councilman Martin?
Aye.
Councilman Matthew?
Aye.
Councilman Niersted?
Yes.
Councilman Petrozelli?
Aye.
And Councilwoman Tedisco?
Aye.
Committee reports. Councilman Martin, please.
no report, Mayor.
Public Health, Councilwoman Tedisco.
No report, Mayor.
Streets, roads, ecology, Councilman Niersted.
No report, Mayor.
Fire, Councilman Matthew.
Thank you, Mayor. For the month of March, the Garwood Fire Department had a total of 14 incidents, including 4 mutual aid, for a total man hours of 151. In addition, a special meeting held on April the 2nd, the membership of Liberty Hose Company, number 1, Garwood Fire Department, with a quorum present, accepted membership application from Jimmy Gregory, 315 South Union Avenue, Cranford, New Jersey. He's passed all his physical and background requirements. And the fire committee would like to unanimously recommend that the council approve his membership with the Garwood Fire Department.
You have heard the report of fire. Do I have a motion to accept?
Be received and spread across the minutes. Recommendation there be adopted.
A second?
Second.
Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Finance, Councilwoman Janisco.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I am happy that the budget passed tonight with the lowest increase in the past 12 years at $39 per the average home assessed at $100,000. This works out to $3.25 a month. I know that it's not a zero, and I hope that we can get there. It is a tough balance between having responsibility to the taxpayers and wanting to give them as low as an increase or zero or decrease as possible. But it's also, we have a certain responsibility to the borough as well as finance committee. For instance, things like not knowingly underfunding the budget and so forth. We really don't want to put the borough in a bad spot either. But I know I've thanked them before, but I do want to thank the members of my committee, Councilman Petrozelli, Councilman Martin, for your efforts, as well as our professional staff, including the borough administrator, CFO, and auditor, for all the time and energy they put into this budget. A lot of long meetings, a lot of phone calls, and I do appreciate all their hard work. I have to say, going off of what I mentioned in workshop, in going to the last county meeting and seeing 4 residents there, and going to the last meeting of the Board of Education and seeing 2 residents, one of which is myself, outside of those that work for the school at the meeting. I definitely think it's a very positive dialogue we've had here this evening. We've had at special budget meetings this year and in the past, and I hope that that continues here between the residents and the council, as well as between the residents and the county, and the residents and the Board of Education as well. And that's all I have on the budget. One other item, the Finance Committee recommends the adoption of Resolution 14-192 for protected and non-union raises on the consent agenda. That's all for my report, Mayor.
You have heard the report of finance. Do I have a motion to accept?
Be received and spread across the minutes, recommendation there and be adopted.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any comments?
Yeah, Mayor, I just wanted to add, we had that vote on the budget so quickly. Just one of the things I wanted to mention on that, we got $75,000 Sandy aid reimbursement. That's a one-time, I think we got lucky this year. This might have been the product of the Christie bear hug before the election. Also, we didn't suffer as badly as some of our other towns. And, some federal formula got put out there and we got 75 grand. We also are the beneficiary of the bipartisan reforms in Trenton, where we've had a reduction in pension costs of $62,526, and that is huge. Remember when I was finance chair, we had a 22% increase, and people were telling me it was good. So we had a reduction of $62,000. I just wanted to point out, I did calculations on last year, and this goes off of what Mr. Grohl said. Competitive, we're not in a vacuum here. Garwood last year had a 3% tax increase. The average in New Jersey was 1.7, so we were about double. The year before that was a disaster. We were tied for 3rd in Union County. 1.4% was the state average. We were triple. I wonder, with all the Sandy reimbursements, what 1% is going to look like this year. Going along with Mr. Grohl is saying, will this be an actual net reduction across the state, and is this another opportunity lost to make us competitive? Because again, we may go up 1%, and in light of recent increases, yeah, that's pretty good, because we've just been really bad recently. But compared to everybody else, how are we doing? I'll be very interested to see when the numbers come in. I hope we didn't blow yet another opportunity. Thank you.
Maybe just to add to that, I think it can also, obviously, Jim, we look at things quite differently. Just as the governor's budget is chock full of one-hit wonders, we had some one-hit wonders this year. And I think what that does, it supports the vote we had earlier to be fiscally prudent, because those one-hit positives, I mean that when I'm saying one-hit, I mean in a positive way, may not be there next year. And so having that surplus might be very, very important. So that's another way to look at it too. You may not have lost something, you may have been very responsible, because we're not going to receive those funds next year.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Councilwoman Tedesco, I'd like to sort of verify Trump. I mean, Do we have anything that sort of verifies what Councilman Matthew was saying about these increases and all that? I didn't see anything like that in reviews that we did comparing other towns. We had
What do you mean?
the highest increase of, many towns, 3% or whatever it was. I didn't write it all down. But I mean, I thought that we were, for our municipal portion of the budget, one of the lowest increases. We had one of the lowest increases last year in all the 21 municipalities in Union County. Is that not true?
You're speaking about 2013?
Yeah, 13, yeah.
13? I can't really speak to that too much.
We were number 6, I got it from the Star Ledger.
And we were
number
basically
6.
6 out of the 21.
6 out of the 21, and we were just above Union County's average increase was 2.8. As you can imagine, Union County fared pretty poorly. 1.7 was the state average. Our municipal portion was 3.3, so we were about double. The school and county actually brought us down to an average of 3%, so we weren't quite double. But that's all in the Star Ledger. We were tied for third in Union County in 2012. We moved down to 6th. I'll take it. But that's all from the Star Ledger.
And the overall numbers were right in the average for Union County right now. And I do a lot of comparing with other municipalities, and this year it looks like Cranford's coming in around maybe $20 a home. However, they do have a $4 million bond that they're looking to do, so I'm not exactly sure what that impact is for Cranford and when it hits and so forth. Westfield, if I remember correctly, was upwards of around $75 per home, just getting that from the Westfield Leader. And it is one of the things, it is important to compare, but at the same time too, we shouldn't live in a vacuum. I 100% agree. We need to be aware of what's going on in other towns. However, we also have certain responsibilities here in Garwood. Smaller towns, one thing I'm noticing in looking and comparing with other towns, smaller towns sometimes have a tougher time absorbing increases. Takes a little less than $20,000 to move our taxes $10. So it can be tricky, but also this, I think one other side of the equation that was being touched on a little bit earlier, as well as the number of taxpayers here in the borough, and that, keep in mind, a lot of businesses here in town pay big tax dollars as well. And it's that other side of getting areas redeveloped that we can potentially see an increase in revenue on that side. So yes, we should have lean appropriations, but we should also be open-minded and try to promote redevelopment to also help us on that side of things. And other municipalities have often benefited from that as well.
If I can just add one more thing, I'd like to thank Councilwoman Tedisco and the finance team for the work they did on the budget process this year. Anytime I tried to make a phone call to Ms. Tedisco, she was running in and out of the meeting, and I know it was countless hours. And I'd just like to remind everyone, we're talking about bringing it down $57,000. I'd like to remind everyone what's actually in this budget this year. We did put in the new officer, that's included in this budget. We added money to capital items, and if you can just refresh my memory of what the other big ticket items are.
We also had redevelopment was around $40,000 in the end, in money to support redevelopment through the planning board as well as our COA application. We also increased LoSAP for the firefighters and first aid squad. That worked out to about a $20,000 increase. So there were other positives as well.
Right, all these things that we asked for, that we wanted, all while keeping the budget to only, how much per household? $39 per household, and these were things that we wanted to increase, to add into our budget. So I think that's a positive, and I think that you and your team need to be applauded for that. So, thank you very much for your work.
A motion's been made and seconded. We've had our comments. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Buildings and grounds, Councilman Petrozelli.
No report, ma'am.
Laws and license.
Thank you,
Council
Mayor.
President.
Tonight, there's one application for raffle license. The Laws and License Committee recommends the adoption of Resolution 14-28. the application of one off-premise 50/50 raffle to be drawn on December 13th at the Westwood by PBA Local 117 Garwood Civic Association. Also, Mayor, Laws and License Committee realizes the issue of parking, we're going to talk about parking, that needs to be addressed. The issue stems from multiple sources: some residential homes with no driveways, commuter parking on residential streets, and the downtown area lack of parking. A few years ago, we had New Jersey Transit come in and do a study, and we basically asked them, what would it take to provide us with more stops? And the answer was increased ridership and parking. We are asking for commuters. We need to provide them with proper parking, and at the same time, we need to be respectful to our residents. We think we need to find pockets of parking in this town, and if we are creative, we can do so. We've been in communication with Mr. Renaud about this subject, and as we've been told before, certain topics are for executive session. So when we are ready to present this discussion to the council, we'll talk to Mr. Renaud about it, and we'll have an executive session on this same subject, and that is all for my report, Mayor.
Thank you very much. You have heard the report of laws and licenses. Do I have a motion to accept?
Be received and spread across the minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Recreation, Councilman Petroselli.
Thank you, Mayor. Children's soccer for pre-K and kindergarten starts this Friday, April 25th at Washington School. Also, I invited the Recreation Committee to do a walkthrough last Friday down at the athletic field complex, and they were very pleased to see the progress and, actually go through the walking paths, and, they also came up with some recommendations that I will be passing on to the meeting that we're going to have May 7th for the construction. That's all for my report.
Thank you. You have heard the report of recreation. Do I have a motion to accept?
Be received and spread across the minutes.
A second?
Second.
Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Committee on Aging, Council President Palmer.
Thank you, Mayor. I will be meeting with the residents of the Point to discuss the services that the borough offers its seniors on May 22nd. That's all for my report, Mayor.
Thank you. That's not a good report. The library, I have a report here from the library. Last week was National Library Week, but because our school was closed for spring break in the district, the staff of the library decided to celebrate the event this week from Monday, April 20th through Saturday, April 26th. The Garwood Library's traditional way to show appreciation of our customers is to allow Amnesty Week once a year, and that's usually around National Library Week. The library will accept any overdue items without penalty of overdue fines. Items can be days, weeks, months, or years overdue. Just return the items and your record will be clear. No questions asked. And I do have to comment, I found over the years, after my children moved out, there might have been a book that somebody took out in the 3rd grade. It's quite entertaining how they can manage to kind of stash stuff we least expected. So, overdue items can be returned to the library in person or dropped off in our convenient outdoor book drop, which is open 24/7. But that is only this week through Saturday and the start of library business on Monday. All fines will return to normal. So, if you find anything hanging around, you might want to leave it until next year. Anyway. You have heard the report of the library. May I have a motion to accept?
You received and spread across the minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Do you have any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? School Board Liaison, Councilwoman Tedesco.
Thank you, Mayor. No formal report, just a reminder. I think it's about the 4th time I've said it. EFG dinner is this Thursday night at the Westwood at 6:30. It's the 10th anniversary of the Westwood. They're honoring both the teacher and the school nurse this year, Mrs. McCarrick, as well as Mrs. Lukovic. And so if you need tickets, please see a member. I happen to be the president of that club. And that's all I have.
Thank you. I've heard the report of the school board liaison. Do I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
I guess I hit the word
I don't know, you
minimum.
left them
It's a
speechless,
No, I wasn't there.
Councilwoman. Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Celebration of public events and holidays liaison, Councilman Martin.
No report, Mayor.
Union County Air Traffic Noise Advisory Board, Councilman Matthew.
No report, Mayor.
And the Athletic Field Complex Project Committee Representative, Councilman Petrozelli.
Thank you, Mayor. The 2-week look back is as follows. Plumbing and mechanical rough is still ongoing at the main building. The rough electric has been completed. Decking material is on site and is being installed. The multi-purpose field has been delivered and the subgrade material is being prepared for the field to be installed. Roof material is expected to be delivered this week. The next monthly construction meeting is May 7th at Borough Hall. That's all from our report.
Thank you. You have heard the report of the Athletic Field Complex Project Committee Representative. Do I have a motion to accept?
Be received and spread across the minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second?
Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Officers reports, Chief of Police. Sariano.
Chief of Police Bruce Underhill monthly report for March 2014. Zoning Code Enforcement Officer Lindsay Stefano monthly report for March 2014. Municipal Court Administrator Martha Marino monthly report for March 2014.
Thank you. Public comment.
I think we need a motion to accept.
May I have a motion to accept the officers report?
So moved.
May I have a second? Thank you. Forget that. Public comment. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the mayor and council? Please step to the microphone, state your full name and address, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. It would be greatly appreciated. Nobody tonight? Okay. We'll move on to the consent agenda. Are there any resolutions anyone wants deleted from the consent agenda?
Yes, Madam, could we delete resolutions 192, 193, and 194, please?
Say those again?
192, 193, and 194.
May I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda as amended?
I'll make a motion to accept adopt the consent agenda as amended, Mayor.
Do I have a second? Second. Roll call, please, Ms. Ariano.
Council President Palmer.
Aye.
Councilman Martin. Councilman Matthews.
Aye.
Councilman Niersted.
Yes.
Councilman Petrozelli.
Aye.
And Councilwoman Tedisco.
Aye.
Did you get those numbers, Ms. Ariano?
Yes.
Moving along to the, to resolution 14-192. May I have a motion to, adopt resolution 14-192?
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 14-192, Mayor.
May I have a second? Second. Discussion.
Yeah, Mayor, I just want to voice my opposition on 14-192. I'm not against raises for our employees. We need to give raises to our employees. I just don't think we need to give them every single year. The total raises that are going to result from this resolution are going to be $11,000. You add that to the contractual raises we have this year of $55,000, and all our tax increase and then some is actually because of raises voted for by this governing body, $66,000. So I'm going to vote against this. A lot of my constituents don't get raises every year, and I think this has the effect of watering down the reforms in Trenton. The employees are picking up a greater share of their pension and health care benefits. When we go ahead and subvert it by giving them raises, we water that down. I would vote for an occasional raise, but raises every year are too much. Thank you.
Thank you. The motion has been made and seconded. Is there any other discussion? Roll call, please, Ms. Ariana.
Council President Palmer. Aye. Councilman Martin.
Aye.
Councilman Matthews.
No.
Councilman Niersted.
Yes.
Councilman Petrozelli.
Aye.
And Councilwoman Fedisco.
Aye.
Okay, we'll move along to resolution 14-193. Authorizing a contingency change order number 2 for the AOC project. May I have a motion to accept, to adopt the resolution 14-193?
I'll make a motion to move 14-193.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion?
Yeah, Mayor, I'd like to voice my opposition to this one as well. I don't know if just for the edification of people in the audience, these change orders are actually done, negotiated, the work is done and billed, and then presented to the council. And then we're told, basically, if we don't pay it, there could be legal ramifications. I don't feel that I do my diligence as a legislator when I go ahead and ratify things I was not involved in, I didn't know about, and somebody's telling me I have a gun to my head to approve. So I'm gonna vote against this change order. And I wanna note that it now draws the contingency down to $40,000. That's how much room we have left on this $3.3 million project. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion with regard to the resolution 14-193?
Well, I hate to leave the public with the notion or the impression that, we willy-nilly get these change orders and then agree to them, and then, it's just, we roll over. I mean, these are the kinds of things that are necessary. I mean, maybe Lou, you can help me out here a little bit, but, if you're in the middle of a project and a tree needs to be removed, or there's some unforeseen circumstances like drains need to be modified, it's part of a project. I'd hate to think that we're leaving the impression that we have reckless spending on down here.
Thank you. Any other comments?
I don't really want to leave you hanging, Mike, but, I mean, that's what the contingency money is for things that come up, and contractor can't exactly drag all 7 of us down there to go look at something and say yes or no, or, why do you need it? If we want to get the project moving along, that's what it's there for. That's why we have our own professionals who are engineers on the site, and that's what it's about. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, a motion has been made and seconded to adopt the resolution. Roll call, please, Ms. Ariana.
Council President Palmer.
Aye.
Councilman Martin.
Aye.
Councilman Matthews.
No.
Councilman Niersted.
Yes.
Councilman Petrozelli.
Aye.
And Councilwoman Fedisco.
Aye.
Thank you. We'll move along to resolution 14-194. May I have a motion to adopt resolution 14-194?
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 14-194.
May I have a second?
Second.
Discussion.
Mayor, I'm going to be voting against this one as well. Every time I think it's pretty straightforward with my opposition to the athletic field, that I just vote no on these things, something scarier happens. I was confused about this. I spoke to councilpersons Tedisco and Petrozelli, and they gave me a very good response on this, told me what this is about. Again, I want the people to be aware, this one does not ding the contingency fee at all, because we're now using $20,000 of operating expenses from 2014. The same operating expenses that pay the police, the DPW, fix the streets, are now being paid for change orders on the athletic field. So this, I think, is the government shell game, because once we vote on this resolution, it will pass 5-1. You're still gonna show a contingency of $40,000. That's because you spent 20 grand from this year's budget. And I fear, and I hope I'm wrong, I'll eat crow on this, I'll be happy with you. I fear this is just the beginning of taking money out of the operating expenses and the scarce resources we have to allocate as it is in this borough. Now it's gonna start going for this athletic field. This was ill-conceived from the beginning. We never knew where it was gonna go, and now it's $20,000 out of the operating expenses. I fear it's the tip of the iceberg.
Are there any other comments?
Yes, Mayor. And Lou, again, we're gonna come back to you, but can you explain to the public, exactly what this is for, okay, why we're doing it, why it makes sense to do it, and I think it's important for the residents to understand that why this was recommended to be done and what benefit it will serve the borough and the people who are using this site.
This is for the closed circuit television cameras and security system that is needed at the site. You know, we're building a $3 million project, and it's something that is needed. I mean, you know, you can't just, you know, build something like that and just walk away and hope that, you know, we have enough officers down there, you know, that can, you know, routinely drive by and just, you know, check on it. It's something that, you know, Tina had applied for a grant, okay? I think Tina did store up at $50,000, which was the grant that we had applied for.
I applied for the entire amount of money, well over $100,000 for that and a couple other things that, camera, telephone, TV, picnic tables, chairs,
Right.
but we only got awarded $25,000.
Right. So, you know, that was a matching grant, so yes, you know, $20,000 did have to come out of the budget, and the other $2,837.65 came out of capital. But the reason why this had to be brought up this evening, you know, we did go back and forth, you know, at the monthly construction deal. The project is getting to that point where walls are gonna be closed and things are gonna be, you know, buttoned up, and, you know, we don't wanna wait up until the last minute, and then this could actually be potentially maybe another $10,000 more, you know, because, you know, we didn't act on it. So it's something that, in my opinion, needed to be done. Again, you can't build a facility like this and not have any type of security system down there, and, you know, I think that it needs to be approved.
Thank you, Louis. Mayor, just to add to that, I don't know if residents recognize, you know, not everyone in this town is a, you know, 100% everyday law-abiding citizen. That police can reinforce how much vandalism occurs in this municipality. Washington School, before we had the Y come in, suffered a tremendous amount. Just as a side note, you know, a few years ago, I planted some trees and shrubs over there. It wasn't a week. I went back, they were gone, literally gone. And I went inside and said, what happened? And I was advised, you know, as to what happened, and people don't recognize that vandalism does occur, and we are investing a lot of money, and we need to have these cameras to make sure that police can see what's going on, and perhaps, hopefully, when, because it's not a matter of if, we know these things will happen. When they happen, arrests will be made, and hopefully curtail any future vandalism on the site. So, yes, it's over and above, but I think we'd be talking about fiscally and every other way irresponsible. If we didn't have this, I will support this.
Mayor, if I could just say really quickly.
Councilman Massey, you've had your opportunity to comment on it. Is there anyone who hasn't commented on
I
it
did
yet?
want to comment on
This one has not.
Okay, all right, thank you, Mayor.
And if I could just respond at the end, I'd like to.
Okay, just a couple points. Absolutely, we need cameras there. I think we can all agree with this. We need to protect our investment with the athletic field. We do need the cameras. We have to pay for it one way or the other, quite honestly. It is a positive thing that we have a grant offsetting this cost. So we are getting this camera system essentially 50% off if you look at it like that. And I understand that grants come from taxpayer dollars as well. So in a sense, maybe it isn't totally 50% off. From the municipal standpoint, it seems that way because this is county tax dollars. However, I understand grants are taxpayer dollars as well. However, I think we all know that if the county didn't give it to us, the $25,000 matching grant, they would give it somewhere else. So I'm happy that it's coming to us and we can get something sort of 50% off rather than it going to another town. Was actually at the county meeting when they awarded us the check, and they gave, there's multiple, like 3 or 4 towns in Union County right now doing athletic fields like us, and so they're giving them money as well, and you know, I'm just happy that we did get at least some piece of that pie, and it is something that we vote on. We voted on applying for this grant, and I believe that we all supported you in applying for this. Tina, correct me if I'm wrong.
That's correct, Councilwoman.
Last year, so I think that You know, if we support applying for it, we should also support receiving it and using it for what we need. And quite honestly, I feel security cameras down at the new rec complex would be a need. So that's why it has my support tonight.
Excuse me, did we know when we were applying for it, it was a matching grant?
Yes.
And
It
we're,
always
and
is.
the $20,000 that we are, but did we not put that in the budget?
It is in the budget.
So we knew ahead of time.
That we
that's what-
needed to match it.
That we needed to match it, and we intentionally put that in the budget.
Correct.
So we're not taking it out of streets and roads and DPW and police and all that. We intentionally budgeted. Okay, just to clarify. Thank you.
Mayor, if I just have a brief response, those are excellent rationales for this expense. I guarantee you, all the other cost overruns are gonna have excellent rationales too. Every single one of them will.
We don't have
And
cost
I can tell you,
rationales.
excuse me,
It's coming out of the-
excuse me, sir. I have on the record numerous times, councilpersons Petrozelli and Tedisco telling me and telling the public that there were $2,000 to $3,000 per year in the projected operating costs for the athletic field. In all honesty, I took that with a grain of salt. We have now crossed the Rubicon, and we are now spending $20,000, 10 times that amount from operating expenses. I figured we'd blow it by 1,000, and I would go ahead and complain about it. We're blowing it by 10 times right out of the gate. There'll be great excuses for all the other cost overruns. Please, believe me, there will be. Here we go.
To clarify, that number was for annual maintenance cost. This is considered capital. An investment in cameras would be more capital than maintenance
Yeah.
costs on the building that you would incur each year. However, again, like I said before, quite honestly, if we need cameras, we're paying one way or another. So whether it was in the bond or now, we have to pay. That's the bottom line for me.
Motion has been made and seconded. Comments have been made. Roll call, please, Ms. Ariano.
Council President Palmer. Aye. Councilman Martin. Councilman Matthews.
No.
Councilman Mearstead.
Yes.
Councilman Petrozelli.
Aye.
And Councilwoman Tedisco. Aye.
Thank you. Is there any further new business? There being none, I have a series of proclamations to announce this evening. Proclamations this evening include National Donate Life Month, April 2014, Earth Day today, April 22nd, 2014, Garwood First Aid Month, May 2014, Older Americans Month, May 2014, National Public Works Week, May 18th, 24, 2014, National Police Week, May 11th through 17th, 2014, National Day of Prayer, May 1st, 2014, and Loyalty Day, May 1st, 2014.
Mayor, would you mind adding National Holiday to that? Friday the 25th?
Confirmation has been
I'll do one then. I have one. I'll get it for you for next week.
You want to get it on the next agenda, Councilman?
Sure.
Okay, then send it to me.
Will do.
Thank you.
Payment of claims, please read the payment of claims resolution, Ms. Ariano.
Be resolved, the following claims as approved be and the same are hereby ordered paid when properly signed and verified, and payment of payrolls as listed is hereby confirmed and ratified.
May I have a motion to adopt the payment of claims?
Make a motion to adopt the payment of claims, Mayor.
May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please, Ms. Ariano.
Council President Palmer. Aye. Councilman Martin.
Aye.
Councilman Matthews.
Aye.
Councilman Mearstead.
Yes.
Councilman Petrozelli.
Aye.
And Councilwoman Tedisco.
Aye.
The regular meeting of Mayor and Council will be held on Tuesday, May 13th, 2014, in Council Chambers at 7:15 p.m. Workshop session will start at 7. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
Second.